The new Warframe dev stream just finished and we have a metric ton of things to talk about, including the new Warframe Jade, about whom we have seen the first gameplay. We have heard new things about the upcoming story quest where we will learn more things and background information about the Stalker, a new game mode, a new clan operation where we're going to be able to get tons of Arcanes that you usually can only get from the Arcane packs or from Eidolon hunting. So if you still need them, that's going to be great info for you. We got final in-detail information on the status rework, so that is going to be super duper interesting. We're going to talk about that in detail. There are going to be tons of new cosmetics, new augment mods, new arcanes, and new decrees for Deviri, so there is a lot to come with the next update, and we're going to talk about it all. But yeah, how about we jump right into it with the one that you've probably been waiting for, and that would be the new Warframe Jade, all the information that we have about her. So, first off, we have a little teaser trailer for the upcoming update, which is not too revealing, but definitely sparks some interest. Release date for the new Jade update, including, of course, also Jade the Warframe, will be June 18th, so roughly 3 weeks, a bit less. And the new update will also be accompanied by a new quest that follows the Stalker. That's going to be the main guy that the quest is about. It's going to be like 25 minutes-ish long in terms of playtime, and we finally get some Stalker lore, which I'm definitely looking forward to. In order to play this new quest, you will have to finish the new war quest before, so if you haven't done that already, then maybe try to work on it in the next 3 weeks, so you can jump in with Jade right away. And since Jade is going to be a product of what comes after you finish this quest, if you don't want to buy her for Platinum, then she is also locked behind the new war quest. Just keep that one in mind. Alright, but now let's talk about Jade herself. Jade is going to be a support frame that will give buffs to the team, and of course herself, and she will at the same time deal debuffs to the enemies, and, this is the big one, she can also deal ludicrous amounts of damage. We're going to talk about that here in a minute, and I am definitely looking forward to this frame. She looks critically busted. But let's look into her abilities first. Starting out with her passive, which is going to be super interesting because she will be the only Warframe that can have 2 aura slots. That's right, this one can have 2 aura mods active at the same time, giving you both effects, and also they said that since aura mods increase your mod capacity, if you then use 2 aura mods, that means you're going to have even more mod capacity, meaning for Jade, you're probably not going to need all that many forma, if even any at all. That is super cool. And now let's jump into her first ability. Her first skill creates a zone in which you get healed over time if you stand in it, and of course your allies too, and if you run out of this zone, you will continuously have this heal effect, but it will have a timer, kind of like Wisp's mode at the same time, but if enemies enter the zone, they will get damage over time. Her second skill is going to be switchable. There are 3 different variants, so it's one of those skills where you can swap between different modes, and the first one here is you will get shield regeneration. This is potentially very interesting because shield regeneration constantly means that sounds kinda nice for shield gating approaches, but I'm not sure if this regeneration also works continuously if your shield breaks. Then the other mode is giving you more ability strength, and finally you can deal weapon damage bonuses to you and your allies. What Pablo said about these ones is that you can sort of, if you want to play very actively, swap between the 3 modes and kind of combine the different buffs to get the most out of it, you know, snapshot buffs and percentages. So if you're an active player, that sounds really, really good. Then her 3 creates an AoE around her, and when an enemy comes into this AoE, they will continuously over time lose their armor as well as get slowed. So it really took some inspiration from Sevagoth's Gloom. This is, by the way, also her helmet ability, and when there's a fallen teammate nearby, you can kind of look at them to pick them up from a distance, so that's kind of interesting, even though they said that in the helmet version of this feature will be cut. And finally, her 4, the big bada boom damage dealing ability. This one kind of elevates you like Hildren. It is an exalted weapon and it deals crazy tons of damage, as we also see in the background right here. I'm not sure if this is modded or unmodded performance. If it was unmodded, then oh my god, heads off. But yeah, this is something that I definitely will also look into once I get my own hands on her and can try her for myself. Next, let's talk about the new game mode. This is called the Ascension game mode, and like the devs described it, it's kind of like Warframe, but upwards. This one is focused around an elevator. You kind of have to ride this elevator all the way up in order to be able to finish the mission. And while you're in this elevator, you need to continuously throw power cells to kind of keep it powered. But those power cells are on the side, so you need to jump off the elevator, get the power cells in, make sure you don't fall down, because if you do fall down, then you need to get up manually with parkour and all that type of stuff. So it's a very active, very moving game mode, right? You need to jump around like crazy all the time. So much for the new game mode. But this is not the only new thing, because we also get a new clan operation called Belly of the Beast. This one will be the same thing as the Ascension game mode, but with the addition of the new Jade Light Eximus units. These are really interesting. They showed them kind of in the dev stream, but also they didn't really say what their special ability does. So as it stands right now, these Jade Light Eximus units create a green light in a position, and you really need to try to not get hit by it. They didn't show what happens if it hits you, but I think if you're not Revenant, then it probably just kills you. Meaning you need to really stay active in this game mode. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. In order to participate in this clan operation, you're going to finish the Jade Shadows quest first, and as part of this operation, Ordis will be in the Laronda Relay and be sort of a new shopkeeper who offers stuff that you get out of this event. First off, we have of course cosmetics, so if that's something for you, that's definitely nice, including an ephemera that evolves depending on how well the whole community does in this event, so that's going to be interesting. But more importantly, also as a reward pool of this event, we get all the Eidolon Arcanes, including heavy hitters like, for example, Arcane Avenger, which I pretty much use on every single build nowadays. However, Rebecca did say that there will be a limit of 48 Arcanes per player, meaning you can pick 2 of these Arcanes to get full from level 0 to level 5, but not more because they didn't want players to be stressed out. And also, when you're part of a clan, then sort of the clan portion of that reward shop will also include the legendary Platinum Arcanes like Arcane Energize, Arcane Grace, all that sort of stuff. But alright, let's now talk about the status rework and the final information that we got on it. Pablo gave us a really detailed rundown of which status effects have been changed and how exactly they're going to behave in the future, and that sounded really interesting. First off, Blast might actually be good now, because what they did is, when you inflict Blast on an enemy, there's going to be a little delay after the infliction, and then there's going to be a secondary explosion from that enemy that deals a portion of the damage from the first hit in an AoE around that enemy. However, if you stack all the way to 10 blast effects on an enemy, then this secondary explosion is not going to deal a portion of the last hit, it is going to deal the accumulated damage up until this point in an AoE explosion to nearby enemies. So if they do it right, then this might kind of look like Corvex's ultimate, which would be crazy overpowered. I can't wait to try this out for myself. Then when it comes to Magnetic, they flat out said that, Toxin is usually always better against shielded enemies, like I also recommend, because it bypasses shields altogether, so why would we even want to deal with Magnetic, right? Well, unlike what I was fearing, they didn't say that they're going to nerf Toxin, so apparently it's going to stay in the same place that it is right now, but they're going to buff Magnetic in a way that now it not only has a bonus against shields, but also it will be very good at melting away overguard, so that could potentially be good on a secondary weapon maybe a primer for those, heavy hitting enemies. And also, when you fully deplete a shield with magnetic damage, then there's going to be sort of a electricity explosion on the enemy that will deal some electric damage, stun the enemy, and inflict a forced electricity proc. So all in all, that sounds like Magnetic is definitely going to be nicer than before. However, against your standard day-to-day enemy, I don't know if it can really kick Toxin off the throne. This will be something that we're going to try out. As for Cold, nothing really new that we didn't know before. In the future you can stack Cold up to 10 times, meaning with just Cold status effects, you will be able to permafreeze enemies, and permafrozen enemies have an even higher susceptibility to crit damage. This whole Cold rework also at the same time comes with kind of a little frost buff, in which the AoE of his first ability is going to be increased, his globe is now going to be shoot through, so it doesn't block off your or your allies' shots anymore, which is very nice, and his passive is going to be, the more frozen enemies are around you, the more armor Frost is going to have, which is going to be a super nice synergy. Then also some quick info on the enemy armor. This one is now going to be capped at 2,700 armor, equaling 90% damage reduction. So enemies, no matter how high the level, will never be able to have more than 90% damage reduction, which is huge. And that at the same time means that with 10 corrosive effects, you're now going to get the enemy damage reduction from 90% down to 40%. So yeah, I think in the future for higher level enemies, full stripping armor is not going to be mandatory anymore. So much about the damage rework, let's quickly talk fashion because we have a new Yarly Deluxe skin. If that looks good to you and you like Yarly, then absolutely go and get it. Also, we have new Tenogen items. I'm gonna try to put it on screen in the background right now, but the big ones are gonna be that sort of nice Plague Doctor kind of look for Lavos, and also a new Equinox helmet, which looks very aesthetically pleasing if you ask me. And now that we're already talking about fashion, we also have new heirloom skins coming in 2024 with some drastic changes in contrast to how they were handled before. The next heirloom skin is going to launch at TennoCon, which is also going to be when the Ember Prime resurgence comes. So if you need a Glaive Prime, TennoCon is going to be the place to get it, right? When TennoCon launches, you can finally farm the Glaive Prime again. But speaking about heirloom skins in the future, Ember Heirloom, which you also see in the background right now, looks stunning, right? And when she launches at TennoCon, you can buy the whole pack with all the accessories and all that stuff. Alternatively, you can also buy it for non-real money, just for platinum in the shop, where you can get the whole bundle for 475 platinum, or also all the heirloom items individually for their individual platinum prices. But alright, let's get back into some more mods and arcane stuff because we got new augments, new decrees, and also new arcanes coming to the game, so let's talk about them here for a second, starting out with the augments. The first one is very broken and it's going to be for Protea for her Blaze Artillery. What this does is, if you use her fourth skill, the Temporal Anchor, it takes one of those Blaze Artilleries and attaches it to Protea while you run around, so it's not stationary anymore, shooting at enemies as you go. The cool thing about this is that the duration of this artillery is going to be as long as your Temporal Anchor duration is. So you can get that up to really, really high durations, meaning the damage scaling on that artillery is going to be absolutely crazy. The next is for Sevogoth for his So. I'm not sure what to think about it as of right now, definitely going to give it a try. For Dagoth, we have Spectral Spirit, which sounds incredibly good because with this one, among other things, you can reduce the cooldown of your Grave Spirit, potentially maybe keeping you invincible forever. I'm also going to try that out myself. And for Miley Cyrus for Corvex Wrecking Wall, we're going to get a bit of armor strip and shield reduction, which is definitely nice, but I'm not sure if this is going to be all that necessary. As for the decrees, I'm going to put you some up on screen right now, which sound interesting, but apparently these are not going to be all, so I'll just give you a couple seconds to read through them for yourself. And these 5 right here will be the new Arcanes, 2 for Warframes, 2 for Secondaries, and 1 new Melee Arcane. The devs did say that everything is still work in progress, so what you see right here will not necessarily be how it's going to be implemented in the game when the update launches, but just by looking at it, these arcanes definitely look nice, but also they don't seem all that meta-breaking, or at least I, as I read it right now, don't have any crazy ideas for synergies or anything else. And then we got tons of UI improvements. I'm just going to breeze over them because the video is already way too long. First of all, we can create duplicate mod configurations. This is a great quality of life improvement. We can now view augment options in the ability screen. We're going to be able to view community fashion frame setups, so that is definitely super interesting. Damage numbers get a new setting where they don't block the enemy altogether anymore. They get sort of rearranged in a donut shape around the enemy so that you can still see what you're shooting. And this is the big one, you can now change your loadout, your weapon warframe selection, also swap mod setups and all that stuff. You can do all of that from the star chart screen and don't have to get off, run over to your arsenal, and run back anymore. This is a great quality of life improvement. There's also tons of other quality of life coming up, but I'm just going to give you a freeze frame in the background and you can read through it yourself. If you have questions, there's always going to be the dev workshop in the forums. And finally, we saw some new enemy types and environments from Soulframe at the end, and we're also going to get the first official Soulframe dev stream as part of TennoCon 2024. These were, in my opinion, the most important things from the dev stream. If you don't want to miss out my dedicated guides on all the new stuff that is going to be coming once the update launches, definitely leave a sub, leave a like if you're still there, and we see each other hopefully in the next one. Next video is going to be Sarah next week, and yeah, have a nice weekend. Bye!